If you're sitting in the C-suite of a big pharma company right now, looking at your projections, the feeling, it isn't just panic.
Yeah.
It's something more like vertigo. You look down and the floor itself just seems to be moving.
Vertigo is exactly the right word. I mean, the ground has completely shifted underneath the industry.
It really has.
We aren't talking about hypothetical trend lines for digital transformation anymore. We are looking at a hard deadline for survival.
The grace period is over.
Officially.
That's the feeling I got reading our source material for today. We're diving into a report called How to Rethink the AI Investment Priorities for Pharma 4.0 CEO's Perspective.
Right.
But let's be honest, it reads less like a corporate white paper and more like, I don't know, a survival guide for right now.
It does. The subtext is basically screaming that the question isn't, should we use AI anymore? That ship sailed, what, 2 years ago?
Oh, at least. If you're still asking should in 2026, you're already obsolete.
You're done. The real question now is, how do we stop hemorrhaging money on all these failed experiments?
Because the data is just brutal.
It's awful. 80% of AI initiatives in pharma are failing, crashing, burning, or just stuck. Stuck in what we call pilot purgatory.
Which is just terrifying when you see what's at stake. We're not talking about a 5% efficiency bump here.
Not at all.
This report, it outlines a path to literally double operating margins, to go from around 20% to over 40% by 2030.
It's a $254 billion opportunity just sitting there on the table.
A winner-takes-all scenario.
Completely. And the surveys back that up. You have 9 out of 10 tech leaders in the industry calling this an existential business imperative.
That's a heavy phrase.
It is. It means if you don't figure this out, you don't just lose market share. You don't just miss a bonus. You cease to exist.
So our mission for this deep dive is clear. We're going to break down why that failure rate is so high, why these smart companies are just striking out.
And then we walk through the mandates, the new rules of the road that the winners are using to grab that $254 billion.
But first, let's set the stage. Why is 2026 the year everything just hits the fan?
It's a perfect storm. Really 3 distinct pressures. First, the core economics of drug development. They're just broken.
Utterly.
The old model, you spend, what, 10 to 15 years?
And $2.6 billion.
Right, to bring a single drug to market. The math just doesn't work. It's unsustainable.
And at the same time, you're getting squeezed.
Exactly. You've got the Inflation Reduction Act. You've got payers globally pushing back hard. So you can't just price your way out of the problem anymore. The margins are getting crushed from both ends.
And then there's the third thing, which I think is what really scares the big players.
The new kids on the block.
The ones who don't have 50 years of baggage.
The AI native competitors. We're seeing this wave of new biotech firms, new AI-enabled CDMOs.
Contract development and manufacturing organizations.
Yes. And these companies, they don't have legacy systems. They don't have dusty server rooms or paper logs. They were built on AI from day one.
So while Big Pharma is trying to turn an aircraft carrier, these guys are racing speedboats.
And they have a completely different cost structure. They're faster, cheaper, more agile.
So this brings us back to that failure rate, 80%. It's a huge number. The report blames pilot purgatory. What does that actually look like inside one of these companies?
It's shiny object syndrome on an industrial scale. We see companies with 50, 60, even 100 different AI experiments running at the same time.
100.
All over the place. Marketing has a chatbot. R&D is playing with 5 different molecule generators. HR has some new tool.
It's the throw spaghetti at the wall strategy. Hope something sticks so you can talk about it in the annual report.
It is. And the core problem, the strategic error, is that they treat AI as a technology layer.
Yeah.
They're just bolting a fancy tool onto a broken old process.
You can't automate a mess.
You just get a faster mess.
So what's the fix? The report calls it mandate #3, concentrated portfolios.
It all comes down to discipline. The winners in 2026, they aren't doing 50 things. They're doing 5 to 10. That's it.
They're culling the herd.
Ruthlessly. And that's a huge cultural shift. You have to be willing to kill the cool projects that engineers love, but that don't actually make money.
And that's hard.
You have to be brutal.
Mm-hmm.
The criteria are super strict. Does this use case deliver a clear 20-30% ROI? If the answer's fuzzy, or we'll know in 3 years.
The project's dead.
Dead. It's a move from innovation-led exploration to business-owned execution.
Okay, so if you're only picking 5 or 10 battles, you have to know where the real value is. And I think if you asked anyone, they'd say drug discovery.
Right, finding the next blockbuster drug.
But they'd be wrong.
Mathematically, yes. Very wrong.
This breakdown really surprised me. So what does the pie look like?
Okay, so drug discovery is important, don't get me wrong, but in terms of immediate value, the biggest slice is operations and manufacturing.
The factory floor.
Yep, it's 39% of the total impact. We're talking about roughly $99 billion a year.
The factory is worth more than the lab. That just feels wrong for a science company.
In the near term, absolutely,
Me
because
too.
the inefficiencies on the factory floor are so tangible. In discovery, you're fighting biology. In manufacturing, you're fighting logistics and entropy. And AI is very, very good at fighting entropy.
So what is an AI actually doing in a pharma factory that's worth almost $100 billion?
Two big things. The first is something called job shop scheduling.
Which sounds incredibly boring.
It sounds dry, but for a human, it's an absolute nightmare. Imagine a factory making 20 different drugs. You've got equipment limits, cleaning times, changeover protocols.
Material availability, demand fluctuations.
It's a mess. A human with a spreadsheet can't optimize it. They just try not to mess up. They build in huge buffers just to be safe.
And the AI sees patterns a human just can't. It tightens all the screws.
It runs millions of scenarios in seconds to find the perfect sequence. It minimizes downtime. That alone can increase throughput by 15 to 30%.
Which, in $1 billion factory, is like building a new production line for free.
It's pure profit. And the second driver,
What's that?
predictive maintenance. This is where it gets a little bit sci-fi.
Okay.
These systems use acoustic signatures, vibration data. The AI literally listens to the machines.
It's a machine whisperer.
It really is. It can hear that a bearing is going to fail 3 weeks from now just based on a tiny change in its vibration. So you fix it on a scheduled break, not when it explodes mid-batch.
And that extends the life of the equipment.
By 10 to 20%.
Okay, so operations is the big one at 39%. Where does R&D actually fit in?
R&E is the second biggest piece at 26%. But the playbook there is totally different.
How so?
In ops, you want your money back in 12 months. In R&D, you're playing the long game. You're looking at a 5 to 10-year horizon.
Right, because you can't speed up biology. A clinical trial takes as long as it takes.
Exactly. So the value here comes from failing faster. The most expensive thing in this industry is a drug that fails in phase 3 after you've already spent $1 billion on it.
So you kill the losers in the computer, not in the clinic.
Precisely. AI can predict toxicity and efficacy way earlier. You can cut your preclinical development costs by up to 50% just by weeding out the dead ends.
It's value through cost avoidance.
Exactly. You focus your money on the horses that can actually run.
And finally, commercial. Sales and marketing, that's about a quarter of the value.
24%, yeah. And this is where you find the quickest win, the low-hanging fruit,
What is it?
medical writing automation.
I've heard a lot about this, and we're not talking about writing marketing copy.
Yeah, no, this is the heavy-duty technical stuff. Clinical study reports, regulatory filings, patient safety documents.
Thousands of pages of dense, regulated text.
That has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And delays there cost a fortune because every day you're not filed is a day of patent life you lose forever.
So GenAI can draft this stuff.
It can draft 80% of a filing in minutes. The humans still review and approve it, of course. But the productivity boost is massive. It just clears the bottleneck.
This is a perfect segue into the how, because
Yeah.
we know where to invest now. But the report talks about a concept I think is maybe the most important takeaway here. Mandate. #2. Bounded autonomy.
This is the answer to the robot overlord fear. So many people think Pharma 4.0 means these lights-out factories run entirely by AI.
By HAL 9000.
Right. And that's just not realistic. The regulatory risk is way too high. You can't have a black box making safety decisions.
So bounded autonomy is the middle path, not manual, but not wild.
Exactly. It means the AI acts on its own, but only within a strict set of safe parameters, a sandbox. It handles all the routine, high-volume stuff automatically.
But the second it sees something weird, an edge case.
Anything weird, anything high risk, it immediately escalates it to a human expert.
Okay, make that real for me. What does that look like on the factory floor?
Let's use quality control, specifically deviation triage. In a factory, things go wrong all the time. A sensor spikes, a label is wrong.
And a human has to investigate every single one.
Right, which creates a huge paperwork backlog. With bounded autonomy, the AI analyzes the deviation. If it's a routine, low-risk thing, label printer jammed, reprint confirmed, the AI just processes the paperwork and closes the ticket. No human needed.
But if that temperature spike could mean contamination...
That's an edge case. The AI immediately flags it, freezes the batch, and alerts the senior quality engineer. The AI is the triage nurse, the human is the surgeon. It cuts investigation times by 40 to 60%.
But the report warns about a specific trap here, the bolt-on problem. This is about workflow.
Oh, this is crucial. We've seen companies build a great AI scheduler, but they make it a separate app. So the human has their main system open, and then this little AI tool in another tab.
And human nature takes over.
They ignore the tab. They say, I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't need a robot's advice. If the AI is just a suggestion, adoption is almost zero.
So bounded autonomy has to be inside the main workflow. It has to be the default.
Yes. The AI should write the schedule directly into the main system. The human's job is no longer to create the schedule. It's to approve the schedule. That one change, making the default review instead of input, that's what drives the efficiency gain.
Which brings us to the tech itself. Who's building this stuff? Because there's been a huge reversal in the build versus buy thinking.
It's one of the starkest stats in the report. Back in 2024, something like 70% of pharma companies wanted to build their own AI. They were hiring thousands of developers.
The era of tech hubris. Everyone wanted to be a software company.
Exactly. Fast forward to now, 2026, and it's completely flipped. Only 30% are trying to build the core tech. The rest are partner first.
They realize they can't outcode Google.
Why would you try? Why build a foundational model when Microsoft or AWS can do it better, faster, and cheaper? The cloud providers aren't vendors anymore. They're strategic partners.
So the rule is, buy the standard stuff. When do you bill?
You only build when it protects a unique competitive advantage. If you have proprietary biological data, your secret sauce, you build a model on top of that. But for standard things like medical writing, you buy it.
Don't reinvent the wheel. Reinvent the drug.
That's it. Focus your resources on the science, not the infrastructure.
Okay, let's talk about the people. Because every time we say automation or efficiency, the workforce just hears layoffs.
And it's a valid fear.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing in 2026 is more nuanced. The report focuses on role redefinition, not just replacement. The goal isn't an empty factory. It's a factory where people are doing higher value work.
Give me an example of a job that gets redefined.
Take those production planners. Before AI, they spent 80% of their day just fighting fires, updating spreadsheets, calling the warehouse.
Yeah.
It was stressful, reactive grunt work.
And now the AI does the grunt work.
So the planner's job shifts to strategic capacity planning. They're looking 6 months out, running what-if scenarios. What if we launch the new drug in May? Do we have the capacity? They become strategists. Their value actually goes up.
What about on the commercial side? The medical science liaisons, the MSLs.
Their job used to be memorization. They were walking encyclopedias of clinical data. Now an AI can synthesize all of that instantly on a tablet. So the MSL is no longer a data retrieval service.
They have to become interpreters. They explain what the data means.
Exactly. They add wisdom, not just information. It pushes the human up the value chain.
This brings up a key point about leadership. The report is very clear on this. IT cannot own these projects anymore.
This is a tough pill for some CIOs to swallow. Yeah. But if AI is owned by IT, it stays a science project in a lab. It has to be owned by the business leaders, the chief manufacturing officer, the head of commercial.
Because they own the budget and the workflow.
And if the head of manufacturing doesn't believe in the AI scheduler, nobody on the factory floor is going to use it, period. The scorecards now aren't measuring model accuracy, they're measuring cycle time and cost to serve.
Which brings us to the last and maybe the most ruthless part, governance and the ROI or reset mentality.
The 2026 mindset is brutal. ROI or reset. If a program isn't showing value on those business scorecards in a set time frame, it gets cut. No emotion.
What's the time frame? How long do you get?
For operations, it's tight, 12 to 18 months. If you haven't saved money or sped things up in a year and a half, you're done. Funding pulled.
And R&D gets a longer leash.
A bit, 3 to 5 years. But even then, they need to show interim progress. You can't just say, trust us for 5 years. You have to show you're reducing screen failures, improving prediction. You have to earn the right to keep going.
And how do you govern all this without slowing everything down?
Risk-based governance. It's key. You can't have a one-size-fits-all policy.
Right. An AI for scheduling meetings doesn't need the same scrutiny as one that helps doctors choose a treatment.
Exactly. The clinical decisions support AI. Heavy validation, human in the loop, massive audit trails. But an AI for summarizing documents, that gets light governance. You move fast where it's safe, and you're careful where it matters.
So let's zoom out. We've covered the landscape, the failures, the money, bounded autonomy, and governance. It's January 2026. What's the final verdict for our listener?
The verdict is that the window is closing fast. The companies that will dominate in 2030 are making these foundational investments now. They're not doing pilots. They are rewiring their entire operating model.
It feels like a separation of the species, the ones who adapt and the ones who don't.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And the differentiator, it isn't who has the smartest data scientists, it's who has the courage to integrate the tech.
And I want to leave everyone with a final thought on that word, courage. We talked about bounded autonomy, letting the system act.
Yeah.
Think about what that really means for competition. Imagine two companies. Competitor A's AI automatically schedules their factory, optimizing every single second. Competitor B has the same AI, but their leadership doesn't quite trust it, so just makes suggestions, waiting for a human to approve a spreadsheet.
Competitor B has already lost.
While they're waiting for a signature, competitor A has already shipped the product. The tech is the same. The trust is the variable.
That's powerful. The bottleneck isn't the chip, it's the choice.
So take a look at your own projects today and ask yourself, are they business-led or are they IT-led? Are you building bounded autonomy or just bolting on advice? The answer might just determine if you're sharing that $254 billion prize or becoming another case study.
Choose wisely.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the future.